Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Linebrink. I'm here with the Get in the Game podcast, and I'm very honored to have the guest that we have today, Mr. Albert Pujols. Albert, how are you?
Good, brother. Good to see you, man. Thanks for
You,
having me.
you too. Absolutely. I really appreciate you coming on the show. You are a guy that really needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and throw out a couple of stats. For anybody that hasn't watched baseball for the last 20 years, you may not know that Albert was a 10-time All-Star, a two-time world champ with the St. Louis Cardinals. He's now with the Anaheim Angels. He was a three-time National League MVP, and I could keep going on all of the things that you've done and accomplished, but it would take most of this podcast. So we'll stop it right there. But one of the all-time greats here. So I'm really honored to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, brother.
You bet. Well, this podcast, I want to dig in a little bit into your background because I think it probably says a lot about you as a person, which is really what I want to talk about. The baseball stuff is great, but the things that you have done off the field are equally great. And
Hmm.
some people may know about that, some people may not. But yeah, let's start with you growing up in the Dominican. I'm sure
Hmm.
that's a pivotal part of what made you who you are, and maybe you can just
Hmm.
tell us how your childhood shaped who you are and your experience growing up there.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. I was raised, at the age of 3 years old. My mom and dad divorced, so I was raised by my grandma. So I know probably in the last 10 or 15 years, a lot of articles that I'm the youngest or 11. When the people say I'm the youngest or 11, I'm not. They say that because my grandma's raised me and she had 10 kids and I'm the younger one. So I was raised with, my grandma, my grandpa, my dad, and some of my aunts and family members, and just like a young little boy in the DR going to school and playing baseball. That's what when you're a little kid and you're a teenager, that's all you want to do. Play baseball, kind of proceeding the dream of having an opportunity to be a professional baseball player. Um, Around the age of 15 and a half, almost 16 years old, I got the opportunity to come to the United States with my dad, where we came to New York for such a really like short time, like about a month, and then I moved to Independence, Missouri, in Kansas City, and that's where my journey started. Going to school and graduated out of Photo State High School. Went to and got drafted by the Cardinal in 1999.
Wow. So going back to the Dominican, I read somewhere, talking about how you would hit limes for baseballs. You obviously came from pretty humble beginnings, and then
Mhm.
to where you are now. But how did that experience? I don't know if you would say you grew up, in lower class or what class you would say, but I'm sure that.
I would say I was in the middle class, maybe below a little bit, kind of in between. I guess going to now, 20 years later or 15 and a half years later with my foundation, I really see some really polished community.
Mm.
I mean, like I never thought that some of this area where we do the work through the foundation even exist. So I'm a big believer that if I wake up and I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I wasn't poor. Like you're talking about a third world country where people go to bed scratching their head, not thinking what they're gonna feed their kids the next day. So thank God I never had that problem in my life, growing up and as a young boy, like a lot of my friends had. But it was a really experience for me to know and allow me to learn so much, especially now with the things that I have accomplished, going back and give back to the community. Allow me to learn, seeing my grandma, my grandpa, my father, taking, you know, their food and give it to their neighbor. As a young little boy, you see that and you're like, wow, that's pretty awesome, because I always believe that the education comes when you're young. Education doesn't come when you're a teenager or you the 20 or 25-year old. It comes when you really in the young age, because all of us as a young little kid, how do we want to be? We want to be like our father. We want to be like a mother. So I always believe that, my dad was, a great role model for me. I think the only problem that my dad had, it was, trouble with alcohol, which that helped me at the long run, to this age. I haven't touched, alcohol in my life. So I think it's one of those things that growing up, I saw my family, giving me a great education. And yes, it was a really young, humbling experience for me in young age. I used to play with a cardboard. I used to have like a card box milk, and when it was empty, I used to make a glove out of it. And we would play catch with my neighbor with the lime, a lime tree. We would have picked a lime or lemon, and we just play catch with it. We would have played in the street with license plate. We bent the license plate. We put one in each end, and it was like a partner. And you throw the ball and you play to 100 runs, and then how you get the outs. If you knock the plates, it was one out. And then you play to 3 outs. You throw it hard as a pitcher, and you try to hit it as hard as you can hit it. And if you hit a home run, you just go back and forth and count your runs. So it's a lot of little things like that that it helps me so much. And we always figured out how to play games in the street, and it was a really healthy environment. 35 years now later, I won't say that is the case now in my country. I don't see that. And I think that thing, those little things that I grew up doing, we miss it, and especially my kids. And it's so funny because right now my kids, ask me, Dad, I'm so bored, let's go do something. I'm like, man, you have a pool, you have an iPad. I'm like, you have a phone. I'm like, I didn't have any of that. I'm like, be creative, and do something. So, but it was healthy, it was fun. It was a really great environment and great, you know, I had a great family that gave me a great education.
Yeah. I really appreciate what you said right there, that, if you wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, you're not poor. And
Hmm.
poverty is really a matter of perspective. And I think, the difference between you and me, I grew up in the United States, and I probably didn't get a picture of where you grew up in the Dominican until much later in life, until going to places
Hmm.
like Honduras and Mexico and Haiti, and seeing what
Hmm.
poverty really looked like, and
Yes.
yeah, it's not until you really experience that you can have an appreciation, and that then leads to compassion and a desire to
Hmm.
want to help. And so you got that
Hmm.
at a very young age. I didn't get that until much
Yeah.
later in life.
Yeah, but that didn't stop you from serving. You know what I mean? Like when you make those trips, like it make you want more and go back and do more and like make you appreciate, like you said it a minute ago, what you have, and the little things that we complain here about it. The 13, 1,300 miles away or 2,000 miles away, people really need it, you know? So I think, all those things we don't learn it until we allow ourselves to do those mission trips and because myself, I tell you what, beautiful country of the Dominican Republic, and going with the foundation once or twice a year in the off season, it really changed my life, man. Like I was like, wow, I didn't even know that these places exist in my country.
Hmm.
Because as they just sell you, the TV, the nice, hotels and the beaches and all that stuff. But really, where the the people that are suffering, they don't put that on TV, and it's tough. But at the end of the day, I'm just blessed, to have an opportunity to be able to give back, not only here in the United States, but also in my country, in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, and you have done that plenty. And faith, you mentioned that you're blessed. Faith is a big part of who you are. We've already talked about it before this call, before the
Hmm.
podcast started. I was reading a little bit about your faith history, and there's a lot to read about your journey in faith, and how your grandmother was instrumental. Your wife actually led
Hmm.
you to the Lord.
Hmm.
You found faith before you found fame, because I
Hmm.
read that you came to know the Lord probably about 3 or 4 years before you made it to the major leagues. So
Yes.
how did that foundation of faith keep you grounded in the middle of fame?
Well, for me, is everything. Knowing my relationship with God, that there's nothing better than that. Through good and through bad times, because there's been a lot of good times in my life, but also through bad times. All things. We need to acknowledge God. Even through the bad times, we had to acknowledge Him too, because at the end of the day, those hard times that we go through is to build our faith stronger in our relationship closest to Him more. So, but for me, it was at a young age. I met my wife. At that time, she was my girlfriend. She started inviting me to church. And really, after the third week of going to church, I asked her. I was like, "Babe, what is that that they do? When they go to the front?" And she explained to me a little bit what it was. And for me, it was really whether I want to go to hell or heaven. And she's put it as easy as that. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go to hell. So about the fourth week, I gave my life to the Lord, and it wasn't until I got to the big leagues in 2001 that I really learned about more like being around guy like Mike Martini, Woody Williams, J.D. Drew. I mean, a strong, solid Christian believer that I was like, yeah, I call myself a Christian, but I wasn't living it, until I saw those guys. And I remember we used to have a faith day at the stadium. Well, they call it faith day now, but there was a Christian family day at the stadium in 2001. And they asked me to give my testimony. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean my testimony? Like, I didn't know that. And after that, I really started, digging in and really digging in the word, and just learning more about the good news of the gospel, and my relationship with the Lord, because at the end of the day, that's more important than anything that I have accomplished in my life. Because everything came so quick for me. I mean, I only played 1 year in the minor league. I went from A to AAA in 1 year, and then next year I was in the big league. So fame and success came really, really quick to me. But I think one thing that kept me humble was my relationship with God, knowing that I never forget where I was coming from. Knowing that through Hang, I was able to serve others and to care about others and not on myself. And it's beautiful, man. It's been a beautiful journey, And I always use the illustration that if the Lord would have given me 1,000 pages and say, write what you think is going to happen to you at your age of 41, I wouldn't even come close to
Mm.
this journey and this success. So I praise Him every day, and that doesn't make me perfect. That doesn't make you perfect. It just, it's something that we make mistake in our life. But the beautiful thing is that the Lord don't come to us and condemn us. He comes
Mm.
to us in love and kind and joys. And that's something that no matter what the word said there about us or how people look at us differently, the Lord always look at us with love and kind, and that's
Mm.
something that we had learned in our life, and we need to pass that along to others. Even through some challenge. And I'm able to do that.
Well, and I'm sure as an older statesman now in the clubhouse, you're doing the same things that Woody Williams and Mike Matheny and those guys you mentioned are doing for the younger players too.
Of course, because I have a friend of mine that always challenge me. He's from St. Louis and he's the pastor. And he always say, Albert, it's more than just a baseball game.
Mm.
It's more than a baseball. And I asked him, what does that mean? I'm like, the Lord has put you there for something
Mm.
bigger than the game. And I believe on that. I believe on that. And, I use every opportunity that I can to try, because you and I, we play the game, we love the game, but our job, as you know, is to appreciate God for and just get to save life. I'm what we don't get to save it, but we get to plant that seed.
Yeah.
You know, so people can to know the Lord and give their life, and then see the transformation as you and I have done in our life. And there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to be a part of it, like you say, there's some people that plant the seed, some people that water, some people that harvest. But just to be
Hmm.
involved in any part of that is really a rewarding thing in the life of someone else.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
let's shift to the foundation that you started, because I know that had a lot to do with your desire to give back. And you mentioned, it's much more than baseball, and you have used your platform in a way to serve others, to bring life really to people. Can you talk a
Mm,
little bit about why you started the foundation and what the foundation does?
mm, that's great. Um, well, I started the foundation in 2005, as I mentioned earlier before we started coding. Todd Perry, came to me in 2004, and we were in St. Louis in our house, and he laid this plan of uh, how he wants things to, how the Lord was showing him this vision and this thing, and I was like, my wife and I, we were so young, and like I told you, success came so quick that we didn't jump right away. We told him, okay, we love it, we love your plans, and looks great, but I don't think we are ready. And we pray for about a year, and then in 2005, 05, and then our number 5, which is weird.
Hmm.
But then you look at number 5, and it's the number of grace. It's incredible. But then we decided to start the Pujols Family Foundation. As you know, I have a daughter. My oldest daughter, Isabella. She's 23 right now. She has Down syndrome. So when I got to St. Louis, that was something that this Down Syndrome Association of St. Louis was struggling with. And so I started getting involved with them the first couple of years, doing the tournaments and be kind of like a spokesman person for them, and kind of just being a light for the association. And then in 2005, we started our foundation, and we started doing our own event. We started with 5 or 6 events during the year, whether it was bowling or golf tournament, or biking for the kiddos, the Down syndrome kids, to do over 120, 130 events now, 15 years later, which is amazing, bro.
Wow.
Every time in December we have a dinner, and you can see during the program they highlight all the programs that we do and all the activities that we do during the course of the season. And it's crazy, man. And that doesn't slow us down, because even now through this pandemic, we are able to do different things, not as much, but we still at it. And it's pretty amazing. But like I told you earlier, it's the group of people that I have around me. I have a great team. And then also, um, you know, uh, in 2006 and 2007, we started making mission trip. We took the foundation way beyond our expectation, what we were even expecting. We didn't know. And we started taking our foundation down to the Dominican Republic and doing mission trip 3 times a year, and taking, doctors, dentists, people there that were sponsoring our foundation. And it's been really amazing, man, how God really had his hand all over this. And as our focus is faith, family, and others. If
Hmm.
you go to the Pujols Family Foundation, we put all our faith in God, and knowing that it's about the relationship. And I believe that's part of why we are blessed, that we just don't do things so people can say, "Oh, look at Albert Pujols, his wife, and the team; they're doing great thing." No, it's not about us, man. This is about serving God and serving, people down in the Dominican Republic as well, here in the United States.
Hmm. Can you think of when you took one of those trips down to the Dominican? And I know, of course, you had a lot of experience growing up there, so you knew what you were going to see. But maybe somebody, one of those doctors or somebody that you took down, can you think of an experience when you went down with them, or seeing the light come on for the first time for maybe somebody that's in that environment? What, do you remember anything like that, or stories that you could share about that?
Well, to us, our first mission trip was everything in 2006 because, when we took that group of dentists, the first trip that we took, we served close to, I think, 3,500 kids, and adults. I mean, you're talking about these people never have seen a dental, clinic, or have anybody have taken them, and we were able to to bring a team down there of almost, I think we partnered with some of the doctors down in the DR, but there was close to 15 or 20 uh doctors. And I think for me, the experience, I don't have one really specific moment that I could say wow, but like when we all sit afterwards and we go to dinner, after we're done working the whole day and we go to dinner, and I just sitting around in this one table, whether it's in the restaurant where we're eating or in my house, like just to see the doctor and the joy of every doctor talking about we need to do this, or already planning ahead of
Mm.
2007 when we haven't even done our trip. They're like, oh yeah, next year we need to do this, just see the joy and the light, man, and just they don't want to leave, bro. Like I normally try to break it where I give them one day off, like in between or even the last day of the trip, so they have to enjoy the country. And they don't even take that day off. They want to continue to work all 5 days. We normally go from Sunday to Sunday, work from Monday to Friday. And sometimes I like to give it Saturday off, and they don't want to take Saturday off.
Mm.
They want to continue to work. So those are the experience that I have, and I knew after our first trip that we were going to have success. And then after that, then we start different programs in the community, and then we have different people that have donated to our foundation. Where we start building churches, home, clean water. We have. I'm sure you know about Willow.
Hmm.
The organization Willow. We have done. Uh, we have worked with them, and we brought clean water to some of these bateys, and it's been pretty amazing, man. It's been pretty amazing, and every year for me at least, I always enjoy it. Even though I know what I'm gonna spend, but I always enjoy it, man. And I think that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love how you said that, and that's something I try to teach my kids too. I think we've probably all told our kids at some point it's better to give than to receive. We try to
Mhm.
teach them gift giving around birthdays and Christmas time. But
Oh,
that
don't let
sometimes
your left hand know what your right hand is
that's
doing.
right.
Just because that's the thing. Like that's where I have a lot of problem, because the media and everybody wanted to cover it. I'm like, no, no, no,
Mm,
no, hold on. I don't, this is not about me,
yeah.
it's about serving. And because remember, some of these places that you're going in, some of these people, they probably haven't seen a camera, and then,
Hmm.
a camera crew. And then, when you carry camera crew people with you, I mean, you're talking about 7 or 6 bodies that you're bringing with you. And like, people don't want to be filmed, and especially in those kind of situations. So I try to really work with the community and make it really comfortable. I mean, there's an area right now about called Bate Alemán, which that's almost like a second home for me. Like I
Mm.
go there, man, I feel like I'm welcome as soon as I step out of my car. I feel so safe. And we have built churches, home, a baseball field, and I can remember in 2006 when we went, there was nothing around there. And just seeing the community growing, and just thanking us for the things that we've done there. It's pretty amazing, and that's why I say there's no way that I can take that credit, but give it to God.
Albert, let me ask you this question. Would you say that giving is something that you have to practice in the same way that you have to practice your swing to make sure that you're in time? Is that something that you need to make sure that you're doing continually? or you'll forget how to
Yeah.
do if you don't practice?
Well, that's something that I do. That's something you can forget really easy, because there's so much distraction. But that's something for me that, and my wife, we know that whether it's our first check, knowing that that 10% or whatever we decide, we give sometime beyond. We don't have a number.
Mm,
We don't have a number. I know a lot of people like, oh, the Bible say this or that. I mean, you give what you have, sir, but as the Lord knows your heart
mm,
better than anybody. So we can recall when we were tithing with nothing, giving, $5 to now giving, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And, I don't say this just to brag. I say this just to see how the Lord has blessed us so much, and we cannot forget where the blessing has come from. This from Him,
mm.
and for us, that's our main priority about giving back. Whether it's giving back to my church, whether it's giving back to a pastor, whether it's giving back to a program that we believe in the DR, whether it's giving back to a program that we believe here in the community, But it's about giving back because at the end of the day, Scotty, you know how I looked at this. We cannot take any of this with us
Mm.
when the Lord is calling. When our last day is here and we're over, we cannot take, our home or our nice car. But you know what? We can take the great memory and the smile that we can put in all these people's faces.
That's
And that's
right.
something that my wife and I and my kids, we have teaching our kids that, and we are so thankful and grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the joy that you get from giving, as you say, that's what you can take with you. Um,
It's undescribable.
yeah. Let me ask you this because I'm sure that your foundation probably helps in making those giving decisions. I'm sure that you hear a lot of great causes. How do you and your wife and the foundation decide what to give to? How do you make that decision? And what would you tell somebody that's trying to decide where should I give?
hmm And that's a great question, because a lot of people, I have a lot of players, and they comes to me and they're like, well, I want to give, but I don't believe in this person that is gonna do this or that. And like, at the end of the day, the Lord is calling us to give. If you give to a church and the church decide to do something with the money and know what you would love for them to do, that is not your problem. And that is, at the end of the day, they're gonna have to deal with God with
Mm-hmm.
that. But for us, I think the decision goes with the fruit. Like when we give to an organization that we believe, we see the fruit. And we pray. We ask God to show us. Okay, Lord, there's this money here. Where do you want us to go to? Where you want us to put it into? What program or what organization do you want us to give it to? And sometimes he shows that, but there's other time that we just give because we believe that it's the right time, and that's the organization that we believe, whether we haven't heard from the Lord, but it's like that's something that we believe in our organization and we have given to them. But
Mm.
most of the time when we tithe or when we give away, we really are taking our time and we are really grateful about it. We just don't do it just because, we have to really believe into the program. And then how is with it by the fruit, by the fruit at the end of the day. That's how people ask me, well, how do you know if it, well, by the fruit.
Mm.
That's what the word say. You're gonna see fruit. I mean, if I'm giving something and that program doesn't have the success, and I believe that wasn't, then the next time around or the second time around, I won't do it. I won't invest that, because I
Mm-hmm.
want to invest, where I'm gonna see prosperity for the kingdom, not even for me, but for the kingdom.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. Um, so tell me this: with all the things that you've accomplished on the baseball field, you will be remembered as one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I'm honored to say that I've played on the same field with you. We had a couple of great matchups there, but But talk about your legacy and how you want to be remembered. What would you say would be the most important thing that people could take away from your time on the field?
Well, for me, it's not even what I've done in the field. For me, it's as a strong Christian guy, that served the Lord first in the community and honor God. Uh, because the success that I had in the field, I believe is because the talent and the ability that God has given me, and I knew the talent that I have, and I knew the ability that I have, but at the end of the day, I put a lot of hard work into. But because of that, I'm able to make the money that I'm making now, and being able to help people that I wouldn't ever done, if it wouldn't be for the Lord. So that's the thing. It's great. Trust me, all those awards and those accomplishments that you read before in the podcast before we started is awesome. I don't take that for granted because it's been given to me with a lot of hard work and a lot of blessing from above. But at the end of the day, it's about serving the community and care about others.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and that's it. That is my responsibility. A great father, great husband who served the community and served the Lord and really give back. And that is the legacy that I want. That is the legacy that I want for my kids. That is the legacy that I want for my friends and everybody else.
And I'm sure you will continue to do that long beyond your playing career, and I hope that's for a few more years that we get to see you out there. But tell me what you think it looks like beyond baseball. What is a typical day going to look like for Albert Pujols after you're done playing baseball?
Well, that's really really interesting because this is my last year that I have in my contract. I don't know if I'm gonna be done after this year, but at the end of the year, I think I'm gonna make a really strong decision when it comes to that. But for me, when that day comes, I think it's gonna be more spending time with my kids. After I'm done here, I'm gonna have the day off today. But we talked yesterday, and when we talked early today, is we're really busy, with our family, spending really that quality time with my family, my kids, maybe travel. I had that 10-year personal survey with the team also that I'm gonna be able to do and go to Arizona, whether spring training or during the season. However they want to use me, the team, I'm gonna do that. But I think spending time with my kids and my family and travel and really serve more the community and travel with the foundation more often, be more active than what I am now because as we busy for 8 months pretty much. So I don't get to travel as much as I wanted with the organization or with my kids. But I think I'm gonna have that time, free time, where I can do all that. And I think that's something that I learned through this pandemic, man. I never, in 21 years as a professional, I look at it last year. Yes, it was a horrible time that we have gone through with this pandemic, but I always try to always look something positive from all this against how I look at it is my time that I got to spend with my kids, like during the summer. I mean, I'm like, wow, during the summer. And then for those 3 months, we built a program where we were, walking the dogs in the morning. Then by 10 o'clock, we were riding bikes. And then by 12:30, we were swimming and ordering lunch. Or my wife, Deidre, was cooking lunch. And then we were watching movie. And we did that for 3 months, bro, just consistently. And that was really, really
Mm.
special. And if you look at it, as long as you played and as long as I've been playing this game, we take that for granted, man. Sometimes, like we don't know. So for me, I think that's my positive thing that I can take out of last year pandemic. That I was able to spend that time with my kids like that. So to finish the question you asked is that is I think a lot of people have prophesied over me saying that I'm gonna be a pastor, and I'm like, hey, if that
Mm.
is the journey, I receive it. I receive it. But I know that's a lot of responsibility, that
Yeah.
comes being a pastor. So I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm gonna enjoy it this year and see where God's taking me and then go from there.
There you go. Well, if you do end up being a pastor, I want to hear one of your sermons. I would love that.
Hey, I'm gonna put a pass it. I'm gonna receive it. Hey, if that is God's will, then I don't gonna I don't gonna say no.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't I don't
Speak,
want to
Lord.
be a I I don't want to be a Jonas. I
That's
don't want to
right.
run the other way.
That's right. Exactly. He calls you to preach. You better preach.
Yeah, yeah.
So last question for you, then we'll wrap it up. And if you don't want to answer it, or if you can't answer it at this point, don't worry. But I know this is going to be a big decision for you. And whenever the time comes for Cooperstown to call, which hat are you going to wear?
Mhm. Oh man, no, I can no answer that. Let's we'll do that. We will do another interview when that time comes, and
Yeah.
then I give you my secret. No, I don't. I think I just I haven't really put any thought into it, man, because when you out there, just as you know, it's just so much distraction that can come to you as a baseball
Mhm.
player, and that's something that yes, I do have the control, but like I really haven't put any thought about that because I'm gonna have plenty time
Yeah.
to think about it when I'm done, and then you know if or when that call comes around, then I'll make my decision then. But like I will have 5 years, between my retirement day and that time. So, but I don't want to get people angry on any other side. So I don't know. I probably won't wear one. Who knows? Who
Yeah, I
knows?
know.
I don't know.
It's going to be tough. I mean, you're going to make somebody mad no matter what. But I think it's a
Oh yeah, but
testament.
at the end of the day, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah, I was going to say it's a testament to what you've done in both of those communities, because you mean so much there in Southern California. You mean so much to the folks in St. Louis. So that's
mhm.
just a testament to who you are as a man.
Yeah, it'll be a tough decision, but I hope the people don't take it too harms. They just you know the way it is, and maybe because of that probably because of that probably won't wear a hat. I probably go blank. I just like a lot of other players have done it. So that way both sides can be happy. And I don't have to hurt somebody's feelings.
That's right.
So but we see when that time
Yeah.
comes. We see how it goes.
There you go. Well, Albert, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Again, I want to thank you for just sharing your heart, how serving is just at the heart of what you do, and you've been truly a great guest on this show.
Oh, you're welcome, brother. Anytime you have my number, text me or any way that I can help you, and I'm here.
All right. So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed Getting the Game podcast.